before we begin, you want to get your photographs sorted out. So you would have chosen your paper, you would have your photographs, you would know the sizes you want them to be. For this layout, I have 2 photographs at 10 by 15 portrait and 1 photograph at 15 by 10 landscape, and then the smaller one 8 by 10 portrait. So you will need to cut 3 pieces of your light cardstock at 10.5 by 15.5 and 3 pieces of the dark cardstock at 11 by 16. And then for this little one you would cut 8.5 by 10.5 on your light and 9 by 11 on the dark. I like I said, wanted to stay with the tattered rose, so that's if you don't have the right color of plain cardstock to match, it's easy enough to ink the edges. So we're going to apply a little bit of ink around the edges of the light cardstock. I'm staying with the tattered rose. It blends in very nicely with my pattern paper selection and works with my photographs. It just adds that little softness and takes away the yellow of this beigey color. Once you've done that, then we can attach the photographs to the mats. I've already put the tape on, but always bear in mind once you've got your tape on, just to burnish to make sure you've got any wrinkles or bumps or anything out. Okay, and then we'll just remove the tape backing. Okay, and then we'll attach the photograph to the light mat. Just sort of center that. And then attach the mat, the light mat, to your dark. Tape to the photograph, glue to your paper. You can work with tape here as well, but I will always suggest that you not put glue on your photographs. Okay. That's on nicely like that. And the last one. See that little piece that's sticking up? We need to get that flat, because it will show through on the photograph if you don't. Okay. We'll attach the photograph to the light mat. That's better. Much better. And then attach the mat to the dark mat. Right, let's get this on here. And there we go, our photos are done. We can put those aside and we can start to create the background. Okay, I couldn't find a plain background or a pattern background that I liked for what I was planning to do with my patterns. So I did a little bit of ink blending on the back of this pattern paper with the text comes out of our New Beginnings collection. So it has a light pink and white dot on the one side, and then it has this text, and that looked to me like it was going to work really nicely. It was just a little bit too light for what I had planned, so I just went ahead and added the inks. There's the dried marigold, abandoned coral, some tattered rows all on the back like that. And then I went around the edges with frayed burlap. I will do a separate video showing you how to do this if you're interested in creating your own background like that. I also splattered on some abandoned coral and then some walnut stain. So you need to choose your background. Then your first pattern paper that we're just going to build up the backgrounds, and we'll see how it goes together. So this is pattern number 3 on the sketch. And remember I said we've swapped it on pattern on the sketch. The 180 goes this side, and the 18 centimeter goes this side, and the 20 centimeter this side. But we've changed it. So we're going to cut one piece at 20 centimeters by 25. And the other piece of pattern 3 is 18 centimeters by 25. And we're just putting them on the other sides. Instead of cutting the, on the first sketch we would have a 16 and a 14 here. I'm staying with the size of this pattern, and I cut a strip that is 3 centimeters by 18 to go this side, and this one is 3 centimeters by 20 to go this side. I also used a punch to punch out the top border. Let me just line it up. We're just going to put it through. We'll fix it perfectly just now, but just so that you get an idea. And then the bottom piece, which would be also part of your pattern 2, instead of putting in the 16 and 14, I then opted to do a 1 centimeter by 20. That's going to go at the bottom here, so that it looks like it's a full piece running through. And then this one is the 18 centimeter by 1 centimeter. So 18 across, 1 down. That one's going to go over there. Right. Then if you remember on the first sketch, we have the piece of pattern 1 that goes here and here. I decided to not cut the pattern in half, but to actually have it run across the page. So what I've done is taken your pattern paper number 1 and cut 2 at 5 centimeters by 30.5. This one goes at the bottom here, and this one at the top. And then out of this stripe pattern, I also cut a 5 by 30.5. So that's going to go this side. So in the first page, it tucked underneath and it made up 23 centimeters. I'm now only making up 15 centimeters, but we'll make up the rest shortly. You'll see how this pans out. So what we do, this side, we are going to do the same thing this side. So out of pattern paper number 1, we are cutting 2 pieces at 5 by 30.5. And out of pattern paper number 2, we are cutting 1 at 5 centimeters. So they're going to go more or less over there. They'll probably shift down. Then the piece of paper that we cut the back, where we cut off the back of that, I want to add like a tag effect. So I cut 2 pieces at 5 by 8, I think it is. Let me just double check. Yes. I cut 2 pieces at 5 centimeters across. I lie 8 centimeters across, 5 centimeters down. And on one of them, I cut the corners to make a tag. So this one will slide in here and this one over here to give the illusion of a big tag. And I repeated that on the other side. So again, I cut another 2 pieces at 8 centimeters across and 5 centimeters down. And because I want the tag to go at the bottom, I chopped off the bottom corner for that one to go over here and this one to go like that over there. So for me, this is starting to look quite nice. It then needed something to make it pop, and that's where I brought in these 1 centimeter border strips. So I cut 1 by 10, and it's going to go over here. I didn't cut it to go all the way through. I don't want to add too much bulk, but I know my photos are going to cover there. So for now, we'll pop these across like that. And I know when my photographs come in, that there's going to be a border that they're going to sit on. I'm not 100% sure where that's going to go, but for now that's starting to take shape. So to be able to add the finishing touches and know how far we need the paper to be up or down, this middle bit, we now need to just have the photographs in place to see how we need to shift paper around to make this work. Okay. So you can see this middle part is too high up because everything is getting covered. And I would really like for the tag to almost be, to almost finish in line with this pattern paper, so that the line finishes. So that's more or less where I want my tag to be, which means I can then move this paper down, and I can also move the top part of the tag down. Okay, giving me that, like that, which then allows for the photographs to stick out, for some of the pattern to stick out at the bottom so we can see that layer. I'm not too concerned about the top one, it is running across. Okay, the same with this one now, we would have to move these ones down to meet up with this, and we want the tag to be more or less in line like that, so everything shifts down a little bit. Okay, and what happens then is that under this photograph, this line pattern paper reveals quite a bit of itself. Okay, so that's this needs to, for me, move up a little bit, and that's where this is going to come into play quite nicely. I can then use that as my border, and it hides, I don't have to recut anything, it hides the fact that I need that little bit of space. So that border is not only decorative but serves a purpose. And the same with this one, I can move it up now, and this little border can filter in through there. Then this border I'm going to have closing up over here like that. So then that picks up with the tag and the border. It's all starting to come together nicely for me. Right, then this one also needs a place, and it needs to run in line with this one here, so that it looks like the border is going right the way across. Okay, something I'm thinking about, I haven't quite decided if that is what I want to do, is to bring in the 1/2 centimeter borders to add a little bit of an extra border here and here, which I think I am probably going to do. I like how that's starting to take shape. Then once you've got this sorted out, you can then go ahead and ink around the edges of your pattern paper in a color that you like. Okay, and then we will then decide where we want the flowers to be. So I'm going to quickly do a mock-up of how I want my flowers to be. And then you will take your photograph, and then we'll take it from there. So I definitely want one of the dark ones on this side. And that leaves me then with 2 green, 2 of the light pink, and 2 of the dark pink. I'm just going to throw them in sort of randomly like that. On this side, I'd like to bring in a light flower on the top and the bottom. So this side is going to be easy and very repetitive. And we can put in a flower like that. And we could maybe take one of these. So it's making like that. Then my title is going to go on this side. I've got these little stickers that I'm going to use as my title. It says, "Be your beautiful self." And my photographs, I know I need to swap them around a little bit. They're not in the right way. I want them like that. Okay. It's all things I'll fix permanently as we go. Right, and then we're wanting to add to that a couple of the leaves. Remember I said we're going to turn them, we're just going to bend them up. So when they slide in here, we can add some leaves to this side. When we stick it, we'll make it look a little bit better, but this is just for now to get an idea of where we want everything. Once we've got this sorted out, we need to take in the, I want to add the bigger flowers, so I want to add the dark with the light. And we can add another dark one here. Let's wait to see where we're going to put that one. Then we've got some light pink ones that we can pop in. And we've got these small green ones that can go in, all covered in old paper. And these ones that we turned up, they can also find a spacey. Right, we've got some more smallish ones. And you're just going to put them in more or less where you think that they should be. Remember, we're going to fill up with inks, and I don't think I'm going to use that one. Then we've got these ready-made flowers that we just changed the ink up a little bit. So on these ones I've added in some old paper, and these ones I did with the tattered rose. And I think these, we'll keep these two to run up over there. Okay, so that's more or less how the flowers, it's really, I wanted to create a lot of flowers running across and a little bit down here. And then once I've decided exactly where they're going to go, I'll go in and tuck in a leaf or two just to make it pop a little bit here and there. So again, working with big leaves, small leaves, we'll pop them in and see how we go. So if you've laid your page out like this and you're kind of happy with it, this is where you need to take your photograph of your placement for reference. Okay? Because once we pick it all up, to try and remember where everything is, just doesn't work. So fiddle around, fidget, be sure you're happy with where everything's going to go, and then take your photograph. Right. I can already see that the tags are not popping the way I would like them to be, and I have a plan for those. So off go all the little flowers so that we can start to assemble the page. We can start to put the backgrounds in place. I'm going to clear everything off and I will be back to show you that. Okay, I thought that maybe if I add, because this is like a ladylike paper, I figured I would then just stamp extra text on this and see if that won't pop out. I'm not going to go for an archival ink. I'm going to work with walnut stain oxide. I'm going to stamp with that. So I'm just going to ink up a stamp. This is the Papillon stamp from Tim Holtz. And I'm going to put my tags together like that. And then just aim for the middle and add a bit of pressure to the stamp block. You can use a stamp platform if you want to. I don't really want a 100% perfect stamp. Just want it to come on here and there so that it adds a little bit of texture like that. And we'll do the same on the other side. Just be sure that you've got your tag that's going to go at the bottom and your one at the top, especially if you're working with the text, so that your text runs in the right direction. Let's go a little bit higher with this one and apply some pressure. If you can hear the talking in the background, that's just the security for the complex. Right, and then remember, you need to clean your stamp. Especially if you're using an oxide ink, you need to clean your stamp immediately. You don't want that oxide to sit on it. Okay. Happy with that, okay. And then I think we can still add a little something. So I'm going to add a little bit of a butterfly. Let's get this off. Okay, I think that this is actually a moth. We're going to put a little bit of, now I know that this part of this tag is going to stick out, and this part of this tag, my photo covers here and my photo covers there. So some water droplets on here. It wasn't supposed to happen. Obviously when I clean my stamp now I got some water on, so we'll just go with that and add a few extra. Pick it up and tap it on. We fix those watermarks very quickly. There we go. So I'm going to stay with my colors that I used for the flowers. I'm going to stamp on here and there some dried marigold, like that. I am going to go over that with some tattered rose to soften it. And add a little bit of abandoned coral here and there. We don't want to add too much, but we want it to mix. Right. Off screen, I'm going to take my water mister and mist on some water, just to get it to activate on the stamp. You can see that. Where water's ended up on your stamp platform, you need to take some of that off. And I'm going to stamp on the tag. I want more of the top on, so, and off to the side like that. There we go. Let's see what we get. And some nice pressure, just give it time, the ink to pull into the paper. And there we go. Very light, very subtle, but at least there's something on the page that ties in with the rest of the patterns. So we can just go in and gently pick up those watermarks, and look at that. I'm very happy with that. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. So watch me again. We're going to add some dried marigold, tap on. We are going to cover that with the tattered rose. Get it to blend so that the orange is not so in your face. And then here and there, we're going to add a little bit of abandoned coral. On the side of the wings, in the middle, on the top. Just so that when we wet this now, the color all blends together. When we stamp, we're going to stamp this part. So again, off camera, because I want to get water on myself, I'm just going to take it, hold it up, and go 1, 2 to get water onto the stamp. You can hear 2. You can take off any excess water that is on your stamping block. I can see that I missed here with the water, so I'm just going to go and add that. There we go. Now you can see how that water is reacting on the stamp with the ink. What's nice about this is that you can actually see how it's how the colors start to react with each other. Okay, we're going to stamp this part here. I'm going to still stay with exactly the same amount of moth showing as in that one. Pop it down, hold your stamp and apply pressure, hold it in place and apply pressure. Don't try and do both together, do one at a time so that your stamp doesn't shift. Give that ink a bit of time to pull into the water and then lift. And look at that, how awesome is that? Just give that a chance to do its thing. We can always go back in and take off any excess water we don't want to be there. So there we go. You can use a paper towel, or in this case I'm using a towel nappy. And just blotting off any excess. Look how nice that looks. And straight away, your doll tag that was just sort of paid no attention to has a bit of life. So we'll just dry that off. And this will tie in beautifully now with your background pages and will give the tag purpose and will force the eye to look in the bottom left and top right. Okay, that goes back in there. And we'll put that away for later. Right. So we're going to quickly assemble the background pages and add these in. I'm just going to move my inks and things out of the way so we have some space. We'll start on the left and work over onto the right. Okay. This one will work a little bit differently. I would like to stick the pattern 3 first and then just shift pattern 2 in. So we're going to leave a little bit of space at the top here for our pattern 2. I don't need to worry about the bottom because the strippy at the bottom doesn't slide under, it's just going to lay flush. So let's go. We leave a little bit of space at the top, not too much, and down the middle. And it is going to go on 3 centimeters from the top of the page. Just need a pencil. So I'm going to measure 3 centimeters from the top of the page, make a mark, 3 centimeters from the top of the page, and make a mark. Okay. We are going to attach the piece that measures 20 centimeters by 25 centimeters for pattern 3 against 3 centimeters from the top of the page and flush against the center of the layout of your background page, like that. Okay. Then your piece that measures 20 by 3, that is going to slide just slide in underneath your pattern paper here. Because I can see that this one is slightly longer, I'm going to line it up with this part, and whatever is extra I will trim off. Okay, so let's get some glue on here, and again I'm not going to glue down the punched out section, the border. I'm just going to leave that to be loose. Lift this so that I can get my pattern paper underneath here, like that. Put it down. So let's line it up nicely here, and we have about 2 centimeters, okay, 1.5 centimeters sticking out. So then that means that this pattern paper is 2. I cut it 2 centimeters and not 3. Okay. Can just work that down and make sure that this is also sticking out 1.5. Yes. So this little excess piece that's hanging over here, we can then just use some scissors and trim it off. Instead of trying to measure and trim, measure and trim, measure and trim, we now know that this is nice and flush and works out nicely. I want this to look like a bit like it was torn out of a notepad, so I'm going to fiddle with them a little bit like that. And then they will be a little bit more pliable to do their thing. Right. Push that down like that, okay? Then we're going to add pattern number 1. We can add the other strip for pattern number 2. Let's do that first. Let's add this. So the piece that measures 20 centimeters across, 1 centimeter down of pattern 1, pattern 2. It's the same as the top, so we're busy with pattern 2. Also line it up with the edge of your pattern paper number 3. If there's anything hanging over the edge, you can trim it off. Right. So now we're going to attach pattern paper number 1. And that one is going to be 6 centimeters from the bottom. So find your 6 centimeters from the bottom and make a mark. Like that. And we're going to attach this one in place. Okay. We need to remember that we're wanting to slide the tag underneath, so I'm just going to take off a little bit of the glue over here so that I have space to slide in. Okay, and then this one is going to be attached 6 centimeters from the bottom. Okay. Flush against the center of the page and out to the side. If there is a bit of an overhang, remember we can just trim it off. Just need to make sure that's 6, definitely is. Okay. Then your pattern paper number 1, pattern paper number 2 that you cut 30.5 across, 5 centimeters down. That one is added on next. It also goes flush against the center and out to the side. Okay. Let's add that in. So that one just lays on top of pattern number 1. And we'll just move it out, and there is a slight overhang. I will just trim that off. Right. Now bear in mind, let's work with these. We want this one, we'll slide it under here. The tag piece we wanted to finish in line. Okay, so let's pop that in. Because we know that's where we want it to be. And you see now how nicely this actually picks up with the rest of the patterns, because we've just added a little bit of butterfly, we've added a bit of text to it. So now it looks like it forms part of the collection instead of being a little wallflower here on the side. And we know that that needs to finish there. dirty. Know that this little piece is going to come in to play over here, and this one is going to end up like that. Okay, so we know we can attach this one in place, no problem. So the other piece of pattern number 1 that also measures 30.5 across 5 centimeters down, that one also gets attached now, flush against the center on top of pattern number 2. And then, like I said, we know that this is going to go here to make up the space for this. So we can put in our little border. I'm not too worried about that it doesn't run all the way across. Like I said, we don't want to add any bulk to the page. And our photographs are going to cover it anyway. The photographs will cover this little join. Like that. Then this tag lays on top of that one, flush against pattern number 3. Okay, so we can stick that one in place. The rest of the borders we can add as we go. And that one goes there. Perfect. When it's completely dry, I will use my paper trim, my craft knife and ruler, and trim off the excess here. I just wanted to dry. I'm scared I just pull on it a bit. Right, so that is the left side done. Time to do the right. Okay, we know that we're going to attach pattern number 3 first, and that is 3 centimeters from the top. Now I like to measure and use the other side of the page to check. Okay, we're going to add that 3 centimeters from the top, and let's get these off to the side. Bear in mind that this has got to go in behind it, so we need to leave a little bit of space at the top where it comes to gluing. Right, so we can leave a gap to be able to slide the border in and close it up like that. Right. Then I know I've measured, but just to be on the safe side, I will line my pages up like that. I will line this one up with a 3 centimeter and center it, and be quite sure that that lines up, that my 3 centimeter is in the correct space. So when my pages lay next to each other, they are definitely going to line up with the patterns. A very quick and easy way just to double check that everything is where it's supposed to be. Right, I'm happy with that. And then we'll just burnish everything in place. Right, and we know that this piece needs to go in over here. Double check that the spacing, the sizing is correct. Again, we're just going to add a little bit of glue. I'm not going to stick the punched area down. And that's going to slide in underneath this one. And I wanted to stick out by 1.5 centimeters, so I'll just use my ruler and maneuver it into place. There we go, 1.5. Pull it out slightly here, 1.5. Pull it down a bit. And then before I burnish it in place and attach, I'm again just going to line up and make sure that my borders are straight. I'm happy with that. We can then attach it, make sure it's stuck. There's a little corner sticking up there. We'll put a bit of glue and then just help it out. There we go. Again, I'm going to ruffle up the tops of my note paper, and they will sort themselves out as we go along. Okay, we need to attach this border. Double check to make sure that it is the right length. You can see it's a little bit too long. I'm going to move it in a bit and trim off the excess in the middle of the page. Probably can't see that. Okay, here we go. Going to add that, line it up flush against there and flush against the bottom of the page. Finish that into place, and then that little piece that overhang, I will just trim off with some scissors. It's a small little piece, it shouldn't shift. There you go. Okie dokie. Right, so now we start to add the borders. We're going to add pattern paper number 1. Remember, I instead of having the little piece tuck under, I'm taking it all the way across. So we are going to add in, it's going to be that one, then that one, then that one. Okay, so I said I wanted 6 centimeters from the bottom, so we're going to measure our 6 centimeters. Like that. Okay. And then I'm going to attach this one the same way. I'm going to pull it over here. It's the easiest way for me to work. Once I've got this first one in, I don't have to do it again. So I can see where my 6 centimeter mark is there, and I'm going to make sure that I line it up. There we go. My pages are lined up. This is lined up. Double check that it's 6. Right, that's because my page is skewed. There we go. There we go. That's a bit better. Okay. I'm going to attach that in place. Oh, it's the other way around. I want her at the top. Line it up there. Got my first 6 centimeter mark, my second one, and my third one. Double check it. Yes. Yes. Does it line up with my page? Yes. Right. In place. And I put it on upside down. Lucky I saw that. That would have been a disaster. Let me double check that. There we go. Let's double check. Almost a mistake. Here we go. Just want to make sure. Then I'm just going to pop this tag in because now I've pulled it down without taking off. There we go. So we want this tag to go in. So where this one point ends, it's going to line up with your, like that. Let's pop this one in before the glue dries. There we go. Very nice. Right, then we are going to attach pattern paper number 2, flush against the center, right on top of your pattern paper number 1. Like that. And then pattern paper number 1, the last strip right on top. Flush against the center, nicely on top of pattern paper number 2, and there we go. Let's double check. It's all starting to take shape very, very nicely. Right, so then the last little bit we've got to add now is this piece. We know it's got to go here because this little piece is going to go over there, and we're not too worried because we know the photographs are going to cover up there. Okay. Let's put on the little brown 1 centimeter by 10. So it's going to give the illusion that there's a border running right the way across, and we managed to eliminate a little bit of bulk in the page. Okay, and that goes over here. Even just needs to be there. Right. So far, so good. At this stage, I'm going to go around all my papers with a gel pen. This is optional, you do not have to do it. But I'm quickly going to go around before I put on my photo mats. Right, there you have the gel lines all the way around. I think before I put on my next border, I'm going to attach my photographs in place. Double check their positioning. Do you see? So any little joins we can see we've now covered up. Okay. And we know that we need another border to come through over here, and we have the big border that's going to run through over there. Okay, so I'm quickly, I'm going to have them so that they lay half a centimeter, more or less half a centimeter over the join. Let's see. Actually not. I'm going to put the border that it runs flush against the pattern paper number 2. Or should we do it like that? Oh, I think I like that more. Okay, so we're going to put it so that it lays on pattern paper number 2, flush against pattern paper number 1. Yes, that looks very nice. Let's put that border into place quickly. Yes, I like that. Make sure it's flush against the center and that it's in place, which then means this one also gets placed, it's the last little border, gets placed exactly in the same. On pattern paper number 1, on pattern paper number 2, flush against pattern paper number 1. Like that. Other way around. To hide the fat part. It cut a bit skew. So the part that's not quite 1 centimeter will cover with the photograph. There we go. And then those are going to go more or less like that. So these are, should we do 8? Or I think 8.5 is good. So 8.5 centimeters from the bottom of the page is where the photographs are going to go. Right. Okay, we'll start with this one first. This one will go 8.5 centimeters from the bottom, flush against the center of the pattern. No, not flush, about 1 mil away from the middle, because you don't want it to catch on your plastic when you insert it in the album. So there's the 8.5. There we go. There we go. So it's about a millimeter away from the middle. So when it slides into your plastic sheet, it's a comfortable fit. Okay, and then we're just going to add this one right next to it over here like that. That's about 2 mil away, and also 8.5 centimeters from the bottom. And again, if you're unsure, just have your ruler nearby, put it in place and attach. When the paper is this busy, you sometimes lose your pencil mark on the page. Here we go. Happy with that? Okay, which means that this one, just make sure they line up, is now going to go there, so it stays in line with that, and that one is going to go over there. Okay, so that's easy enough for us to put into place. I'm going to work at an angle, it's easier. Let's get these photographs on. Again, about 1 mil away from the middle. I am quickly going to add my white pen gel ink lines and then add my flowers where I think I need them to be. I'll speed that up and see you at the end. So this is the end result of sticking the flowers in place and adding a few pulls and leaves and everything. I'm very happy with the way that it's come out. I especially like this build up of the flowers. They are soft and pretty. I have put in another row of flowers over here, and I've got a little cluster happening up there, so it all ties in nicely. All that's left is the title, and I'm wanting to use these stickers, and I'm going to title the page Be Your Beautiful Self. Want to see if I want them to run under each other like that. Yeah. Or if I wanted them to, just going to move that out the way. I can actually bring it down to here. So we'll pop this one over here. I like that. I'm going to try and center the little sayings like that. Let's see. Remember, sometimes if you pick it up and look at it straight on, it actually changes how it looks than looking at it flat. So I'm happy with that. I'm not going to have, I don't have to put extra adhesive behind these. These come from the Tim Holtz Big Chat sticker book. And I have found his stickers actually stick. They don't really need much help. So all that's left then for that is to add some, I'm going to add white gel lines around each little word. Again, completely optional. You could have used a chippy here. You could mat this onto another color if you wanted to, if you wanted it to stand out a little bit more. I'm very happy. I want a very subtle title because the page is very soft and doesn't call for anything really in your face. I really like the way that's turned out. I'm happy with you can see there's a flower, flower, flower there. It creates a very subtle visual triangle. I think that this page doesn't really need much more. If I just bring a little bit in screen so you can see it a bit better. And there you go. I hope you've enjoyed the layout. I hope that you've enjoyed making your own flowers, and I hope you will share your end result with me. I look forward to seeing you in class again, and thank you very much for participating.